Hey everybody, it's Marlon with Chronic Pain Warriors United. Hope y'all all had a really good Christmas, a really nice happy New Year's Eve, and today, first day of the new year 2025, happy New Year to you all. Excuse me. So, I told everyone on Reddit and X and other places that we would be releasing sort of a roadmap to reform, as I call it, because we're not just on here, trying to educate, inform, and bring people together. Those are big goals of ours. But the main goal and our main thing that we started Chronic Pain Warriors United for is to push and achieve pain management patient reform. We must reform this system and remove the bureaucrats with badges and guns from the control of our healthcare completely. So many Americans have had their quality of life absolutely ruined, their lives themselves lost because of undertreated or untreated chronic pain. There are almost 20 million Americans suffering with high impact chronic pain. And if we can unite just a small percentage of us, we will have a voice for reform much too loud to be ignored. So, I have just a couple of quick bullet points I'm going to go over with you. Bear with me. So, step number one, obviously, is support and educate. We want to create a network of individuals like us all over the country that people can find, come to, and receive support and information from. Excuse me. When you're able to reach out to people like us, sorry, something in my throat. When you're able to reach out to people like us and you're having these issues or learning these things for the first time, connecting with people who are living a shared experience and who have been through these things and can say, I know where you're coming from. I understand you. You're not alone. Here's how we can potentially help, is a massive piece of this and a huge boon to any people who come looking, because right now there is just not enough. There's just not. A lot of support groups on Facebook and Reddit have done amazing work, but people are being left behind in far too many numbers, the far too large of numbers, and it has to stop. So creating a network where people can find us, a large group of like-minded and shared life experience individuals helping one another. Number two, we of course need to start coordinating and coalition building. There are many different groups of us on all of these social media platforms, and some are pushing, they have a certain thing, like we want to focus on CDC guidelines, or we want, which are pointless, by the way, not focusing on them, but the guidelines, they have no force of law. That's why doctors don't listen to them. That's why they listen to the guys with badges. Um, but yeah, some people want to focus on this, some people want to focus on that, and that's great. But we need to start getting together, coordinating messages and stories, and building coalitions of support with each other, because that is the fastest way. Coordinating stories and messages, we see it in the media all the time. Both political parties do it. Corporate America does it. It is an extremely effective means of communication and has been being used politically for a long time. So, building these coalitions of support amongst all these groups that already exist and us starting to communicate with each other is another very important imperative. And we've got to start doing it. And then, lastly, as we grow and as more and more people join us, and as our voices become louder and stronger, you eventually have the ability to apply pressure, political pressure, and eventually the political confrontation that must come if we want reform. The DEA is not just going to say, oh, sure, they want to change the whole system, stop God knows how many millions of dollars coming to us every year in order to keep this system as it is and remove our authority, power, regulatory oversight, and everything else. They're not going to go along with that. No bureaucracy has ever gone along with losing control or power. They are going to have to be ripped away from our health care, and they will hang on, scratching tooth and nail all the way to fight us. Um, Giving a loud, strong, full throated defense of traditional pain management, aka opioids, is going to be the first ones through the wall. And a reason you have not seen much of that, if any, is because the people who do so are going to be atrociously and politically attacked. I mean, the political attacks that come as we start to grow and our voice gets louder and we continue to advocate for traditional pain management that works, the attacks against us will grow. The lies will grow. And you know what I mean. You have seen this politically before, especially since we just finished an election, right? So I think most of you will understand what I'm saying by that. The attacks against us, against me, against you, against Chronic Pain Warriors United will ramp up. The more voices that join us, the more power we accumulate, the more we demand to be heard, the more they will push back. Now we know a lot of what's coming and we're fine with it. We accept that. We want this confrontation because both the scientific and moral arguments are on our side. So that's just a real quick breakdown of 1, 2, 3. Here is how we can get there. Now, the individual steps and the actual doing of the communications, coalition building, and all that, sure, it's going to take a little bit of time, but if we just start with the technology and everything we have now, we can achieve these things much faster than we could even 10 years ago. And we have seen this playbook used before. We know it works. We know it can work. It's just about how many of the nearly 20 million of us really are ready for reform, are really ready to contribute their voice, and really want change. If we can unite just a small percentage of us and those people's friends, family members, whatever, their allies, we will have a massive, undeniably loud voice for reform. They will not be able to ignore us as they are doing now to the small advocacy groups and each one individually going about their own thing, or each individual person or smaller group like ours at the moment doing their own thing on Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, whatever. So I'm not saying that they can't do those things. They absolutely should be, and we should be applauding and supporting it any way we can. And that's my point. We need to be supporting one another when important ideas, stories, and messages need to be pushed. Then it needs to be coordinated in some way. It's not an accident when you see the exact same type of news story, headline, whatever, on ABC, NBC, Fox, and whatever else channels there are for news nowadays. Or you pick up a newspaper in New York and it's got the same story and headline as a paper in California. That's not an accident, ladies and gentlemen. That is coordinated messaging by whoever wanted that story pushed, either the political or media or both. But it happens all the time We know it's effective, and we know that we can use the modern technology at our fingertips like this to speed this process up exponentially. And Americans' quality of life and their lives themselves are being destroyed and lost every single day we do not act. Like, I made a short for Chronic Pain Warriors United right before New Year's Eve. It's titled "The DEA Killed My Grandmother." They put her into an early grave by forcing her out of her primary care doctor's care, forcing her into a DMV like pain management facility, and a doctor who had never known her versus her primary care provider who had been treating her for over a decade. This pain management doctor immediately cut her medications by degrees that the CDC guidelines clearly stated not to do. He was putting an 80-something-year-old woman into withdrawals every month. And the only way to prevent her from getting sick was for me and others to go to the black market to get medications to supplement what he had taken away. And over time, yes, she would titrate down. But then she gets to her doctor the next month and he's cutting radically again and again, so fast and so much that there was no possible way she was ever going to titrate down her tolerance properly. And to this day, you could not convince me that was his goal, even though it was mentioned to him by both myself, her daughter, and my grandmother herself. I mean, so yes, that type of thing is happening. Our elderly are being left to die in pain. Those stories are common, and far too many Americans are suffering needlessly. This has got to and can be ended. So that's it. We hope y'all are all ready for 2025. We hope y'all are ready to join in on this movement and demand for reform. The hunger is there, the demand is there, and people are sick and tired of bureaucracies pushing themselves into our lives and doing damage because of it. We're tired of it. So the nation, us, our people are ready for change. And as we educate about what's going on and more people realize the atrocities that the DEA and government is committing against us, their fellow citizens, in the millions, there will be those that join us, and not a small amount. So take heart, have faith. This can be changed. It is not hopeless. We can do it. So come join with us. On X, our account is still suspended. It was suspended over 10 days ago after we posted a story about how the DEA caused the opioid overdose death rates to more than double between 2016 and 2022. And as soon as we posted that story and asked the DEA for comment, pop, our whole account was suspended. We have not been able to get any support at all. So we're in the process of going around old Elon and all them with their free media to try and get that account unsuspended again so we can start posting there. We'd love for y'all to ask them, why has this been done? But anyways, on X, we're trying to get that fixed. You can find us on Reddit at Chronic Pain Warriors United, and you can find us on Facebook at Chronic Pain Warriors United as well. Always here. Subscribe, hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Get down into the comments and let us know how you're feeling. Let us know how you're ready to get into it in 2025. Share your stories or your loved ones' stories. Those are going to be and are extremely important. Those tell us about the individual, and that you, as in your stories as individuals, are so important. So get down in the comments, hit that like button. I'm Marlon with Chronic Pain Warriors United. Y'all have a great day. Thank you. Cheers.